Today I effed up by getting tested to donate a kidney to my wife. I decided to get tested to see if I could donate my kidney to my wife of 6 years. We have 2 kids together, 4F, 2 meters. My wife got sick just after our son was born and now is in need of a kidney transplant. We checked with her relatives and none were a match or a viable donor. Last week I got tested. I knew it would be a long shot, so I decided to get tested to see if I could donate. I got a call the other day saying that I was a match. The doctor then said something about wanting to do additional testing due to some information from the HLA tissue test results. I didn't think much of it and agreed. Then the results came and I was shocked and confused. He explained that because of how DNA information is passed down through generations, a parent to a child could have at least a 50% match. Siblings could have a 0 to 100% match. It was rare to have a high match as husband and wife. I asked, what does that mean? He said that my wife and I have an abnormally high match percentage. Long story short, we're related. No, I'm not kidding. I was put up for adoption before I was born. Placed into a family that moved across the country. I knew I was adopted, but we didn't have any information about my bio family. It was a closed adoption. I met my wife by chance 8 years ago. I was on a trip from work and she was working at the site I went to. We worked together for a week. We exchanged numbers, kept in touch. I was sent back there 3 more times that year and each time we became closer. I was given the opportunity to be transferred out there in a new higher paying position in a different department as hers. The rest is history. I don't know what to do moving forward, but I know it may be wrong. She is my wife and the mother of our kids. This post is probably going to get removed, but it is all true. Since we love Reddit bedtime story viewers, here's the update. The reason her family couldn't donate was that close relatives had some medical issues that prevent them from donating. Examples: high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, heavy drinkers, and more. The further out we tested, the less % of a match. I wanted to be tested because we needed to find someone. The doctor said it would be unlikely but wouldn't hurt to try. I was freaking out after I got the news and had to get outside advice. When the doc said that the percentage was abnormally high and that we might be related, I kind of zoned out and started to piece things together in my mind. My parents live 1,000 miles away. They met my in-laws a few times. Once at my wedding and when both my children were born. My children are fine. My daughter is incredibly smart for her age. My son is a handful and healthy. The way my adoption worked was when my bio mom gave birth to me, I was checked out and put in a different room. I was there but don't know how it officially worked. From what my parents explained, they were in that room waiting. They never met my bio mom in person. My bio mom only had a profile and picked them out of many candidates. I called my parents and told them that I needed to know everything they knew about my bio mom. They told me that they had limited knowledge. They said she was a single mom that was 16 years old. The father was not in the picture. Also, I was born in a hospital 1 hour from where my wife was born. Like I said, limited knowledge. Growing up, I didn't want to find out about my bio parents. To me, my parents were always my parents. I knew I was adopted and that it was a closed adoption. I figure it wouldn't matter long term. I'm not going to do an additional at-home DNA test through any of the traditional testing sites like 23 or Ancestry due to personal reasons. Like the possibility of the family finding out. The doc said all of this to only me, not with my wife present. Some of the additional tests were done through the doctor, which was the CM test. I'm not an expert on DNA testing. They said it was like a 1900 plus CM match. This basically confirms one of my bio parents is one of hers. It can also mean first cousins or aunt/uncle, I'm guessing her dad. When my kids were born, my parents brought photos of me as a baby and commented that I and my son looked a lot like my wife's dad. My son was easily explainable. But all 3 of us are a different story. I'm not going to bring this up ever. I might look at my Phil differently, but nothing will hopefully change. I hope none of the family goes on Reddit and connects the dots. I am donating my kidney to my wife. We have started the full process. That takes time and a lot of preparation. I plan on talking to my wife after the surgery and after recovery. We will decide what to do with our kids. If we are going to get them tested or ever tell them. I will not be leaving my wife. I love and will always be there for her. I made vows and I will keep them. I love her more than I would a half-sister. What's the worst excuse you've heard for cheating? It was my first big job out of university, and my wife and I were getting ready to start a new life in a different city. She seemed just as excited about the move as I was, and we had been making plans and preparations for weeks. 2 weeks before the move, I found out that my wife had been cheating on me. First, it was just one guy, then it was multiple guys. Then, it was an affair she had over a year ago. At first, I was devastated. I couldn't understand why she would cheat on me, especially when we were about to start a new life together. But as she tried to explain herself, I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. She told me that she had been feeling stressed and overwhelmed, and that the cheating was just a way for her to cope with everything that was happening. I knew that this wasn't an excuse, but I wanted to help her, so I came up with the idea of creating a stress-free environment for her, a place where she could relax and be herself. We went on long walks and talked about our future together, and I tried my best to be a supportive partner. But then, something strange happened. One night, I came home from work to find my wife packing her things. I asked her what was going on, and she said that she had been offered a job in Antarctica. At first, I thought she was joking. Antarctica? Who gets a job offer in Antarctica? But then she showed me the email, and I realized she was serious. It was an odd decision, to be sure, but I knew that my wife needed to get away from everything and start fresh. And so, a few weeks later, we said our goodbyes, and she left for Antarctica. It was a tough time for both of us. I missed her terribly, and I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. But slowly, I started to heal, and I started to plan for my own future without her. Then, 6 months later, something unexpected happened. My phone rang, and it was my wife calling from Antarctica. She told me that she had met someone there, a scientist who was working with her on the research project. At first, I was shocked and hurt, but then she told me something that made me smile. She said that this new guy was different. He was kind, considerate, and respectful, and he had helped her see the error of her ways. She admitted that she had made a mistake, and that she was willing to do whatever it took to make things right between us. I couldn't believe it. After everything that had happened, she still loved me and wanted to be with me. In the end, we decided to give our marriage another chance. It wasn't easy, but we worked through our issues and started to rebuild our relationship. And as strange as it sounds, we have Antarctica to thank for that. You're replaceable. Okay, bye. I worked for a company for just under 5 years. The company I worked for existed for an additional 10 years prior to me. While I worked at this company, it ballooned to be the #1 provider in the region for its unique service with about 75% of the market. It was a small business of about 15 employees. I loved my job, and the skills I learned while working there were quite valuable. I loved my team, and the clients we provided services for. My twice-yearly reviews with the owner were always 10/10 with no recommendations for improvement. I was exceptional at my job in every way. I handled company operations, HR/payroll, customer service, marketing, employee management, schedules, employee and client training, and many other things at this company. I was also able to step in and do any of my teammates' jobs if they were out sick or on vacation. The owner of the company was giving out a bonus late summer last year, and mine, while being more than previous years, was notably less than my teammates. I asked owner, are the bonuses related to performance, and if so, what could I have done to earn more? Owner replied, the bonuses are not performance related, you are just more replaceable than the others. Oh, okay, I replied, and I proceeded to process each of the bonuses, then went to lunch. I called my spouse to gain wisdom and advice. I was pretty lit but didn't want to make a rash decision. My spouse is very intelligent and, while they are not a fortune teller, they have an ability to foresee various responses and all the potential outcomes. They are business-wise and have been on the executive team of a large company for the past 21 years while also serving on several community boards and business advisory boards. We decided together to continue forward with our scheduled vacation and use the time away to calm our minds, relax, have fun, and to also determine the best course of action for me. We were leaving after working one more day, so I worked like all was normal the rest of the day and the following day, then left on vacation. While away, we discussed several scenarios, the potential outcomes, consulted with a business advisor and a business attorney. With all the advice I received, I determined that upon my return from vacation, I would resign from my role with a 2-week notice. However, in a fit of rage, I was immediately terminated by owner. Which was one of the scenarios we thought would happen, so I was prepared for owner's poor reaction. During the next couple weeks, I created and opened a competing business offering similar services. However, I offered more customizable options with higher quality service and results. I knew our clients wanted these options and had proposed said options several times at old workplace, but was never green-lighted to implement the changes for no reason other than owner didn't come up with the idea, so it was a stupid idea. I also maintained communications with a few people from my old team. My old team did not relay the day-to-day happenings at my previous workplace, and I never asked about the company. However, they would vent to me on occasion. I would listen without comment. I knew service, quality, and the work environment in general suffered since my departure. Morale went down and clients were less satisfied. I also read the Google and Facebook reviews for old company. Yikes. Additionally, 2 full-time and 1 part-time persons were hired to fill my role, and a portion of my responsibilities, like HR and payroll, were filled by outside companies. I quickly built up my business and within 3 months was able to hire several of my old teammates. They were able to jump in on day one with minimal training as they were the best employees at my old workplace. The quality of previous workplaces' offerings continued to fall, which sent additional business my way and quickly caused incoming work to be non-existent at old workplace. My old workplace went from being the #1 provider of unique service in the region to nothing in a matter of months. My previous employer is now searching for gainful employment. I know this because over the weekend owner applied for a position at my spouse's company. Side note, I think my spouse's company should bring my previous employer in for an interview, but when they arrive, surprise. I'm the interviewer and all I say is, how replaceable am I now? My spouse, rightfully so, has said, no. Moral of the story, don't tell your employees they are replaceable because they might create a competing business that is better than yours, while taking your best employees and your clients, which will leave you with no business to sell. Owner's whole retirement plan was to sell business, and starting all over by searching for employment under someone else. Looks like your company was replaceable, not me.